I want to go over some sequences and formulas for sequences for finding them. So I've listed 3 of them here. And the first one actually was one that Jude gave me. And although that one was alternating, this one is not. The second one I made up, and then the third one is another one I made up too. So if you look at the first one, we need to see, are we multiplying by something? And by the way, to find it, remember, I can take any term and divide it by the previous one to determine what is being, if it is geometric. So if I do e squared over 5 and I divide it by e, I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by 1 over e. And what do I get? I get e over 5. Okay, so that is what r is. If you look, if you multiply this one by e over 5, you get to here, multiply by e over 5, you get there. So our formula for this would be a sub n or some or some series. The first term would be e, and then we're multiplying by e over 5 to the n, but we need to make sure we state that we're starting with n is 0. You could have also done e times e over 5 to the n minus 1, then you're starting with n is equal to 1. Now we need to check about if it converges or diverges. In order for it to converge or diverge, is r must be between -1 and 1. Okay? So I look at this, e over 5, well, is that between -1 and 1? Well, this is like 2.8, 2.7, 1, whatever, divided by 5. So it is, in fact, less than 1, so it converges. Okay. You just need to find out if it's between -1 and 1. If it's 1, it does converge. Okay, so I guess you can say it can equal 1. If it is equal to -1, it does not. Okay? All right, so if we look at number 2, looks a little bit more complicated, but if I take any term and divide it by the previous one, you're going to find out we do get a ratio. So if I do -27 over 1024, and I divide it by 3 over 162, I'm not going to multiply it out, but I'm just going to leave it as -27 times 3. I'm sorry, -27 times 162 over 1024 times 3. Well, 3 divides both of these, so 3 goes in there once, and it goes in there 9 times. 162 actually divides this evenly, because I believe it's 8. Yeah, 162 goes in there 8 times. You could start dividing numbers out, but it goes in there once, goes in there 8 times. So r is equal to -9 over 8. Well, that is not in our happy interval from -1 to 1, but our formula, we could call it b sub n, would equal our first term, which is 3 over 162 times -9 over 8 to the n, starting with n is equal to 0. Okay? And by the way, this would be certainly much easier to do with a calculator on one like this. I believe I'd probably give you a calculator to figure this one out. Okay, but since this is not in our happy range of -1 to 1, so there's our formula, but we know that it diverges, and our reason is r is less than -1. Okay? All right, so if you look at the third one, so 101, so this is not geometric. It is actually arithmetic. And if you look at it, it's increasing. It's not going to reach a single value. So we know every arithmetic will diverge unless you're adding 0. Okay, but your formula for this, if I call it c sub n, is our first term, which is 1 plus 50, because that's our difference each time, times n minus 1. And that starts with n is equal to 1. Or you could do it as c sub n is 1 plus 50n, starting with n is 0. Okay? So I want to do a couple of those for you on sequences and how to write a formula and determine if they converge or diverge. Okay? Thank you. Hope this helps.